Welcome to Veterans News and Special Reports. In this segment that we're giving you is the Forbes Family Needs Saving, Part 1. The situation and the reason we're doing this is because it ties in with the next 45 years of the Veterans Administration, and it's very important that people know history. Our problem is the Veterans Administration, as you've seen in one of the other episodes I've put out this year, is about changing history. People in the United States of America do not know history, especially if you were born in the 1970s. You will not know any of this or be able to relate to it. I grew up in a family in the 1940s where nobody had to lock their doors. My dad didn't even have locks on his doors. We would go away for a couple of days, come back, and the house was just like it was when we left it. Nobody bothered you. The world has changed to the worst. You're going to see the people, places, and things that caused all this and what the VA means today. So, the Forbes family had two daughters living in Paris in the 1940s. Early 40s, the Germans took Paris. And the way they tell the story now, after the big change, was that the two girls, ages 27 and 26, rode bicycles across France during the occupation of the Germans. They were battling the French resistance all around until they took Paris, and the girls had to ride bicycles. From what they say in the history-changing department, that they drove their bikes from Paris to Spain, from Spain through the mountains, into the mountains of Portugal, and to the United States. They said this was a 7-month ride. I don't think so. Because in February of 1941, Ms. Forbes married Richard John Carey in Alabama, where he was working with the OSS. So, without further ado, look at this Part 1, and then as we go into the future, you'll find where this family has changed America. Thank you. Hello, this is Rick Ballou again, professor of surviving the VA. I have a special report coming part 2 about the CIA and their involvement with Agent Orange and the Middle East up to Vietnam. I did research on all the areas of the Vietnam War and before. The United States of America gave Agent Orange to the British. It wasn't Agent Orange. I found the Holy Grail, and you can get a copy of it at my website. Email address is ballou1947 at AOL.com. You can have a copy of all the variations of Agent Orange. I found the Holy Grail to them. I found what they were, when they used it, where they used it, and why they used it. Now, this documentation here is about the CIA and their involvement through Southeast Asia, Korea, and Vietnam. The Air America program was started back in 1946. They were helping the French fight the war in Indochina. Why? Well, the war was going for the United States to a close in 1944 when they first invented the chemical weapon they call Agent Green. So they were using it on the Japanese and some of the islands around Japan to kill vegetation. Now, they gave it to the British in 1946 to use on the islands of Malaysia, where Malaysia were trying to kick them out of their country after the war. They were using Agent Green to start off with and found it not as good as what they needed. So they added, believe it or not, Agent Pink to the mix, which did a very good process of killing all the plants, bushes, trees all over the islands. Millions died. Now, the Agent Orange project was a top secret project, as you heard before, just like the Manhattan Project. Top secret, eyes only. Now, the thing is, you got to understand, is they were using this weapon in Burma and during World War II for the last year of the war. Then they started helping the French take back the French Indochina section, which covered Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos. Now, the United States OSS was not formed until 1946 to the CIA we have today. They were landing in these different countries, helping them. Right. Really good. What they were looking for is opium trade. They were bringing drugs. Now, the other part of the situation was they were training guerrilla fighters. And lo and behold, the guerrilla fighters were fighting against the French to kick them out. The United States of America helped these little fledgling countries to kick the French out so they wouldn't be French Indochina anymore. They became separate nations. Laos, Cambodia, Thailand. Vietnam. All these countries became independent. Then the communist China decided, oh, wow, let's go in and get it. It's part of Indochina. The word China is ours. So the war was on. Now, the United States would help the government set up the governments. And then if they didn't like them, they helped overthrow them. Various things you'll hear in these series that you'll hear is where the CIA would help 4 or 5 times to bring the government to bear in Thailand and especially Vietnam to where they can manipulate them. You will also hear what happened with the Forbes family, how they got involved. So, without further ado, this is part 2 of the CIA involvement in Southeast Asia. Thank you.